When you think of Istanbul, what comes to mind? Maybe the Blue Mosque, the Grand Bazaar, or the mouth-watering baklava? But let me tell you, there's so much more to this city than what you see on postcards. From surprising habits to unexpected trends, Istanbul will keep you guessing. Before we dive in, if you're enjoying videos like this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us bring you more great content. Now let's talk about something you might not expect in Istanbul: smoking. It's everywhere. And I mean everywhere. You'll find people smoking outside, in cafes, and even in most of the restaurants. It's almost a part of the social fabric here. Cigarettes and nargile or hookahs are hugely popular, and you'll often see locals gathering over a cup of tea and a cigarette. For a lot of visitors, this can be a bit of a shock, especially if you're coming from a place where smoking is more regulated. But in Istanbul, it's just a normal part of daily life. If you're planning to enjoy a meal outdoors, don't be surprised if the table next to you lights up. It's something to keep in mind, especially if you're not a fan of cigarette smoke. But it's also a glimpse into a different way of life, where the culture around smoking is much more relaxed and social. So what's next? Stick around, because we're diving into another unexpected side of Istanbul, the booming business of hair transplants and nose jobs. Yep, it's a thing here, and you won't believe just how big it is. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you: hair transplants and nose jobs. Believe it or not, Istanbul is a global hotspot for medical tourism, especially for these two procedures. You can't walk far in the city without spotting someone with a bandaged head or a healing nose. So, why Istanbul? It all comes down to quality and price. The clinics here are top-notch, and the cost is a fraction of what you'd pay in North America or Europe. Many clinics even offer full packages that include your procedure, hotel stay, and even airport transfers. It's like a vacation with a makeover. This trend is so big that it's become a part of the city's identity. Locals are used to seeing visitors coming here for a new look, and some areas even cater specifically to this type of tourism. If you're considering a little upgrade, Istanbul might just be the place to do it. But that's not all Istanbul has to offer. Let's move on to one of the city's most beloved quirks. It's cats. Cats are everywhere in Istanbul, on the streets, in cafes, and even in historic mosques. These aren't your typical stray cats, though. They're well-fed, cared for, and loved by the locals. You'll find little bowls of food and water left out for them on sidewalks, and shop owners often let them lounge inside their stores. Some even have their own social media followings. Cats are a part of Istanbul's charm and culture, adding a sense of warmth and community that's hard to find anywhere else. Istanbul is full of surprises, right? Stick around, because there's even more to uncover about this incredible city. Let's take a journey underground for a moment. Everyone knows about the famous Basilica Cistern in Istanbul, with its hauntingly beautiful columns and eerie atmosphere. But what you might not know is that Istanbul is hiding a whole network of underground structures with fascinating stories. There are other cisterns, some lesser known, scattered around the city. Each has its own unique history, and a few are still being uncovered today. For the more adventurous, these hidden tunnels and underground spaces are like stepping into another world. They remind you just how layered Istanbul is, literally and figuratively. And speaking of layers, Istanbul is often called a city of contrasts, and for good reason. Imagine walking out of an ancient mosque and looking up to see a sleek, modern skyscraper in the background. That's Istanbul in a nutshell, a perfect blend of the old and the new. Take the neighborhoods, for example. You've got Sultanahmet, where history practically oozes from every cobblestone. Then just a short ride away, there's Karakoy, where the vibe is young, hip, and buzzing with trendy cafes and street art. Somehow, these very different worlds coexist effortlessly. Istanbul doesn't just embrace its contrasts, it thrives on them. It's a place where tradition meets innovation, and every street feels like it has a story to tell. Now let's talk about food, because Istanbul's culinary scene goes way beyond kebabs. Sure, kebabs are amazing, but have you tried lahmacun? It's like a thin Turkish pizza topped with minced meat, herbs, and spices. Then there's simit, a sesame-covered bread that's perfect for breakfast or a quick snack while exploring the city. And for the adventurous eaters, kokorek, grilled intestines stuffed with spices, is a must-try. Trust me, it's better than it sounds. If you're out late at night, street food is where it's at. One of the best late-night snacks is midye dolma, or stuffed mussels filled with rice, herbs, and a splash of lemon juice. These little bites are sold on almost every corner after dark, and they're absolutely addictive. And of course, you can't talk about food in Istanbul without mentioning tea and coffee. Tea is everywhere, served in those tiny tulip-shaped glasses. It's more than a drink. It's part of social life here. Turkish coffee, with its rich, bold flavor, is perfect for slowing down and savoring the moment. Just don't forget to check your fortune in the coffee grounds afterward. It's a tradition. Now, if you're planning a trip, here are a few tips to make your visit smoother. Istanbul's public transportation is fantastic, with trams, ferries, and buses to get you almost anywhere. But it's worth downloading a transportation app or getting an Istanbul cart for easy access. When visiting mosques and other religious sites, remember to dress modestly. For women, carrying a scarf to cover your head is a good idea, and both men and women should wear clothing that covers shoulders and knees. If you're heading to the bazaars, bargaining is expected, so don't be shy about negotiating a better price. It's all part of the experience. And for the best time to visit, aim for spring or fall. The weather is pleasant and you'll avoid the peak summer crowds. So there you have it. From someone who's recently been to Istanbul, this city is full of surprises. From its vibrant smoking culture to its underground secrets, its incredible food scene, and its role as a medical tourism hub, Istanbul is truly one of a kind. Have you been to Istanbul? Are you planning to visit? What's your favorite thing about Istanbul? Or what surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more travel tips and hidden gems from around the world. See you in the next one.